This year's deadline will not lack in blockbuster trades that could shake up the race for Super Bowl 59.
I want Amari Cooper in Buffalo. I want him bad.
The 2024 NFL trade deadline is now less than a month away. How about we dive into one move that each club should make at the 2024 NFL trade deadline? Arizona Cardinals trade Budda Baker to Eagles. It just doesn't make sense for the rebuilding Cardinals to commit long-term to an aging asset. The Eagles secondary is a mess and in need of an upgrade. And you know, Baker could immediately change that. Philly is in win-now mode and should be willing to give the Cardinals at least 2 draft picks, including a day 2 selection for Baker. Atlanta Falcons acquire Hassan Reddick. The Falcons addressed their need for a pass rusher by landing ex-Patriot star Matt Judon before the regular season kicked off. But hey, why stop there? Hassan Reddick feels like a safe bet to get traded as he continues his holdout with the Jets. If you're Atlanta, what about trying to complete a sign-and-trade deal for the 2-time Pro Bowler? Reddick, Judon, and Grady Jarrett would give Atlanta a fearsome threesome in the front 7. Baltimore Ravens land Azeez Ojulari. With Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau emerging as the Giants' top 2 edge rushers, Ojulari has become expendable, not to mention that he's a pending free agent. Baltimore needs more pass rushing depth, especially if they face Patrick Mahomes again in the playoffs. A day 3 pick could be enough to land Ojulari, who might rediscover his star-like form on the Ravens' stingy defense. Buffalo Bills get Amari Cooper. The Bills' offense certainly hasn't missed Stephon Diggs, but that doesn't mean that GM Brandon Beane should stand pat at the trade deadline. Josh Allen is getting the ball out to all his guys, and Khalil Shakir is enjoying a breakout season. But Cooper, a pending UFA on a lousy Cleveland team, could take this offense to another level, and would probably cost no more than a day 3 pick. Carolina Panthers send Bryce Young to the Raiders. Young has not panned out in Carolina, but that doesn't mean that he can't follow the footsteps of Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. That is, enjoy a career renaissance once you escape the Panthers' QB graveyard. The Las Vegas Raiders lack a long-term option behind center, but Antonio Pierce may feel inclined to give Bryce Young the shot at a career revival. So, how about sending Young to Vegas for a 3rd-round pick? Chicago Bears land Brandon Scherf. The Bears need help on the offensive line, and the Jaguars should be willing to help with a massive trade deadline fire sale looming. Scherf, a 5-time Pro Bowler, can hit free agency if his contract is voided next offseason. If the Jaguars don't view him as a part of their long-term plans, well, the Bears could get a quality starter for a mid-round pick. Cincinnati Bengals trade Trey Hendrickson to the Bucs. The Bengals don't look like contenders this year, and they don't seem keen on extending Trey Hendrickson long-term. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are in win-now mode and could offer a 3rd-round pick and more, or even a younger roster player, in return for the superstar edge rusher. Cleveland Browns trade Nick Chubb to the Chiefs. Cleveland's superstar running back is also a pending free agent, and unlikely to re-sign given his age and worrisome injury history. It just so happens that KC needs a short-term RB1 after losing Asai Pacheco with a fractured fibula. So, with the Browns out of playoff contention, trading Chubb to the Kansas City Chiefs for a package of, say, fellow running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire and a 4th-round pick feels like it's pretty fair for all parties. Dallas Cowboys go all in for T. Higgins. The Cowboys still need a number 2 receiver to complement CeeDee Lamb, and the big-bodied Bengal star would be the perfect sidekick to number 88. Higgins is a far-gone conclusion to walk in free agency if he isn't moved before the deadline. A team in win-now mode, like Jerry Jones's Dallas Cowboys, would probably be willing to give up a 2nd or 3rd-round pick for his services. Denver Broncos send Zach Wilson to Miami. Zach Wilson clearly is not part of Denver's long-term plans. The Dolphins need QB help after losing Tua Tagovailoa to injury. Skylar Thompson and Tyler Huntley ate it, but maybe Wilson could provide some short-term stability for Mike McDaniel's crew. Detroit Lions make a move for DeAndre Hopkins. The 2023 NFC runner-ups are loaded with weapons in Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Sam Laporta, David Montgomery, and Jahmyr Gibbs. But we just can't help but wonder how much more explosive this offense could get with one more game-changing wide receiver. As a pending free agent on the wrong side of 30, the Lions could acquire the perennial Pro Bowler for pennies. And Nuke's leadership would fit nicely in Dan Campbell's locker room. Green Bay Packers swing big for Deontay Johnson. Jaden Reed is coming into his own as a WR1, but the Packers are still waiting for one of their other youngsters to emerge as a capable number 2 pass catcher. Their solution may be in the trade market, where Panthers stand standout and pending free agent Deontay Johnson should be available. Jordan Love might take this offense to another level with Johnson, Reed, and Josh Jacobs as his three main weapons. Houston Texans pair Jonathan Jones with Derek Stingley Jr. The Texans could use another lockdown cover corner to help Derek Stingley Jr. in the secondary. Patriots veteran Jonathan Jones is a pending free agent who would bring a wealth of experience to a young Houston team. You know, having 2 Super Bowl rings in his back pocket. Indianapolis Colts acquire Budda Baker. We've been high on their front seven for a while now, but if they could add just one game-changing defensive back to fix that leaky secondary, things would be a lot smoother. Budda Baker is the best safety available on the trade market this year. Adding a ball-hawking wizard like Baker would go a long way in helping the Colts defend against top aerial assaults in the AFC. Jacksonville Jaguars ship Cam Robinson to the Bills. With the Jag season already flushing down the toilet, they may as well have a garage sale for any veteran player on an expiring contract. That can start with standout offensive tackle Cam Robinson, who's unlikely to be extended anyways. The Bills could use an upgrade over Spencer Brown at offensive tackle, making Jacksonville the perfect trade partner here. Kansas City Chiefs add Darius Slayton to the offense. Everyone wants to see GM Brett Veach go big game hunting for someone like Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, or Amari Cooper. But Veach knows that he can win without superstar-level wideouts, and potential late-season returns for Marquise Brown and Rashee Rice mean that Veach might not want to risk adding a high-salaried receiver. But veteran Giants receiver Darius Slayton is a pending free agent with a reasonable $7.95 million cap hit. A 4-time 700-yard receiver, Slayton could be a short-term solution to KC's search for a number 1 receiver until they get healthy bodies back. Las Vegas Raiders send Devontae Adams to the Jets. Like there's another entry for us to put on this list. The Raiders need to free Devontae Adams. The Jets are the best possible landing spot for him, and an Adams-Aaron Rodgers reunion in Gotham? Oh yeah, please and thank you. Alright, moving on. Los Angeles Chargers win the Amari Cooper sweepstakes. Jim Harbaugh's roster is good enough to compete for a playoff berth, but Justin Herbert really needs additional help in the passing game. Getting a consistent 1,000-yard wideout in Amari Cooper at a bargain price would be a tidy piece of work by GM Joe Ortiz. Los Angeles Rams ship Joe Noteboom to the Packers. The Packers are getting excellent production out of Zach Tom, but Rasheed Walker's issues in pass protection have made one bookend situation problematic. The Rams should aid the Packers by sending Noteboom to Green Bay for a mid-round pick or 2. Noteboom is not going to be retained with free agency around the corner, and LA would love the draft capital, considering Les needs success at finding late-round gems. Miami Dolphins trade for Jameis Winston. Mike McDaniel is an easy guy to like and root for, but can he stop the silly thought that Miami's current QB room is good enough to win without Tua Tagovailoa? 2019 passing yards leader Jameis Winston is backing up Deshaun Watson in Cleveland. This guy can still be a quality short-term starter, and we have no doubt that he would succeed in getting the ball out to Miami's best weapons. Even if Winston costs you a pair of mid-round picks, so be it. Minnesota Vikings land Marshawn Lattimore. If the Saints front office uses their heads and agrees to a rebuild, then Lattimore becomes their top trade candidate. Trading the All-Pro shutdown corner to Minnesota would be a win-win for all parties. Brian Flores' D has been inconsistent against the pass. Lattimore single-handedly changes that, and New Orleans is getting at least 1 third-round pick if they deal Lattimore. New England Patriots send Dietrich Wise Jr. to Steelers. Wise is in his contract year and should be shopped by the Pats' new brass if they aren't open to extending him beyond the season. Wise Jr. is an impactful edge rusher who could make an immediate difference on a playoff contender. New Orleans Saints trade Cameron Jordan to Lions. The 8-time Pro Bowler is sadly reminding everyone that Father Time is undefeated. Jordan is no longer a game-changing pass-rushing force, and the Saints must accept that it is time to rebuild. They can start and do an honorable thing by sending the future Hall of Famer to a Super Bowl contender like the Lions. Jordan might flourish in a rotational role under Dan Campbell, and as a sidekick to Aiden Hutchinson. His leadership and strong personality would be much welcomed by a young Lions team looking to reach its first Super Bowl. New York Jets, if not Devontae, go snag DeAndre Hopkins. If the Jets can't make the move for Devontae Adams, why not pivot to Titans star DeAndre Hopkins? He's not as explosive as Adams and is in his contract year, but the 5-time Pro Bowler is the perfect short-term addition to a Jets team in win-now mode with Rodgers. New York Giants trade Azeez Ojulari to the Bills. If there is one Super Bowl contender who could use another pass rusher, it's Sean McDermott's Buffalo Buffalo Bills. Seeing that they gave up a third-round pick for Rasul Douglas at last year's deadline, it's not out of the question to think that the Giants could get a similar return for Ojulari. Philadelphia Eagles, call in the Honey Badger. If Budda Baker isn't an option for the Eagles, then hey, how about New Orleans All-Pro safety Tyrann Mathieu? The Saints have the ideal opportunity to load up on young assets to help their rebuild, and we wouldn't be shocked if Eagles GM Howie Roseman was willing to give up a young roster player and/or a third-round pick for the Honey Badger. Pittsburgh Steelers swoop Devontae Adams away from the Jets. Folks know by now that the Steelers were in on Brandon Ayuk before he re-signed with the 49ers. So why wouldn't GM Omar Khan pursue Adams, who would fill this team's search for another stud receiver to help George Pickens? The San Francisco 49ers trade for Paulson Adebo. Adebo's excellent start to 2024 means that he is setting himself up for a major payday in 2025 free agency. The cap-strapped Saints cannot afford him whether they rebuild or not, and the 49ers lack depth at corner after Charvarius Ward. So what about getting aggressive and giving up a third and a day 3 pick for Adebo before extending him long-term? The Seattle Seahawks land Hassan Reddick. They still feel like two difference makers on defense away from actually competing with the top dogs in the NFC. So why not try and pick up Jets edge rusher Hassan Reddick? Rookie head coach Mike McDonald has gotten the most out of his young defense early, but a superstar pass rusher like Reddick would help Seattle's unit take that next step. Tampa Bay Buccaneers roll the dice on James Bradberry. Bradberry has fallen out of favor on an Eagles secondary that continues to underachieve despite the additions of CJ Gardner-Johnson, Cooper DeJean, and Quinion Mitchell. Maybe a defensive whiz like Todd Bowles could rejuvenate Bradberry's career. Tennessee Titans deal Treylon Burks to Cowboys. The Titans just need to accept that the 2022 first-round pick is not gonna pan out here. Burks is stuck in no man's land on the Titans depth chart and needs a change of scenery. And you know, the Cowboys are searching for their number 2 receiver to help CeeDee Lamb. So, Burks to the Cowboys for a 5th-round pick? Who's to say no? Washington Commanders acquire Kendrick Bourne. Despite the Commanders' surprisingly strong start, nobody other than Terry McLaurin is contributing much in the passing game for Jaden Daniels. We know the Pats just extended Kendrick Bourne, but his team-friendly deal means that they could get quality value in return for the shifty receiver. Now's the time to add more weapons around Daniels. But what other trades do you want your favorite team to make at the 2024 NFL trade deadline? Do you agree with our suggestions, or do you have some of your own? Let us know in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking that like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.